"90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia." More information is at farmbureauadvantage.com.
The remarkable soybean. From its oil, we get products like ink, candles, and paint. From its meal, we get a high-protein fiber used in foods and animal feeds. Natural soy is replacing chemicals and products you use every day. You can learn more about soybeans at vasoybean.com. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. Today, we travel to Southampton County and visit an amazing ag and forestry museum. Then Chris Mullins has tips on growing blueberries from the ground up. We'll also have the ag calendar, a minute in the field video, and of course, all of your ag news of the week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Sales of Virginia wine reached another record high during fiscal year 2016 with more than 556,000 cases or over 6.6 million bottles sold. These sales represent a 6% increase from last year. Sales of Virginia wine have increased by 34% since 2010. Visitation to Virginia wineries increased as well to over 2.3 million in 2015, according to the Virginia Tourism Corporation. Furthermore, wine sales at Virginia ABC stores grew by almost 10% in fiscal year 2016 to a total of 13,000 cases sold. Well, for the second year, Virginia cider sales were tracked separately from Virginia wines, and the results reflect explosive growth. During fiscal year 2016, more than 416,000 cases of Virginia cider were sold, an increase of more than 52% over last year. Virginia cider sales are increasing in all market segments, including direct sales, as well as national and international distribution. Virginia currently ranks 5th in the number of wineries in the nation and 6th in the nation for number of cideries. Well, wine and cider aren't the only beverages growing in Virginia. Recently, Appalachian Mountain Spirits Distillery in Smith County announced their expansion. The project will create 13 new jobs in the county over the next 3 years. Appalachian Mountain Spirits is also committing to source 100% of its corn, barley, and rye from Virginia farmers. And Port City Brewing will expand its operations in the city of Alexandria. The company will create 26 new jobs and source 75% of its agricultural product needs from Virginia producers. The Commonwealth is partnering with both companies through the governor's APHID grant. Well, fresh fruits and vegetables are plentiful in Virginia, but how do you know if what you buy at the grocery store or farmer's market is grown by Virginia farmers? Sherry McKinney goes straight to the source to find out.
You see the ads all the time, locally sourced or locally grown. How can you guarantee that your food isn't raised on the opposite coast? First, you'll need to learn what is grown in Virginia and when. A local farmer's market is always a good bet for fresh local foods.
It's an anchor of downtown. Again, 133 years, this market's been providing fresh local produce for the citizens of Roanoke. So this is not a fad market. June 1st through about the middle of August, or maybe toward the end of August. That's going to guarantee you just about anything you're going to want. Fruits, summer apples, peaches, all kinds of produce, squashes, you name it. It's available during about that 60-day period of time.
Local foods can be a vague term when it comes to fresh foods. The USDA's 2008 Farm Bill defined local foods as those marketed less than 400 miles away from their origin. The Roanoke City Market prefers its vendors bring foods from within 100-mile radius. According to a study by the Leopold Center for Sustainable Agriculture, the produce in your average grocery store may have traveled 1,500 miles before it's sold. That's often due to consumer demand for out-of-season produce as well as lower cost. But some consumers are demanding more locally sourced food, and some retail outlets have answered the call. Richmond's Tom Leonard's Farmers Market specializes in locally sourced foods whenever available. The key for them is to have a working relationship with the growers.
There's no question that the relationships with the growers and the relationships with the farmers are a very, very important part of our business. It means fresher. It means somebody's done a lot of homework in order to get something in that's closer, that's fresher, and that some local farmers have delivered it to the store. And I can't even remember the last time that we signed anything here. It's all done with a handshake or a phone call.
What if you aren't sure where your local store gets its produce? Don't be afraid to ask. Marketing experts say an open dialogue between store managers and customers can make a difference.
I highly recommend developing a rapport with the vendor that you're dealing with and that you buy your produce from. If you have questions, who better to ask? They know where it was grown, how it was grown. They are the experts.
While local foods are easier to find when in season, in the past, you were out of luck if you wanted fresh local produce in the winter. But the push for more local foods has led some farmers to expand greenhouse production year-round to bring the freshness full circle.
Here's some local tomatoes behind me that are grown from Dublin, Virginia. And, granted, at different times of the year, there's different products here. And, here's some basil that's local. And, this is a local product from Virginia, and it's terrific. Or, here's some red leaf lettuce that's a local product that's grown in Virginia.
If you're not familiar with what is seasonal where you live, it's not too difficult to find out. Take a quick glance around the produce section of your grocery store. Pay attention to price trends. Berries and peaches get very expensive at the end of fall when they are more difficult to find. And if you notice there's an abundance of something specific and they're on sale, such as potatoes in the fall, that could be a good indicator that it's local. To find out more on when your favorite fruits and vegetables are in season in the Commonwealth, go to the Virginia Grown website at virginiagrown.com. Reporting in Richmond, I'm Sherry McKinney.
Thanks, Sherry. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack announced a new investment of $17.8 million for 37 projects to help educate, mentor, and enhance the sustainability of the next generation of farmers. The investment is made through the USDA Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program. With the average age of the American farmer exceeding 58 years, there's a need to bring more people into agriculture. The USDA continues to engage its resources to provide greater support to farmers of the future by improving access to land and capital, building new market opportunities, extending conservation opportunities, offering appropriate risk management tools, and increasing outreach, education, and technical support. The USDA has also prioritized support for new farmers by providing improved access to credit, land, and equipment. Those younger farmers can learn a lot from previous generations, and today we visit a place where they can do just that. Southampton County's Agriculture and Forestry Museum is a treasure trove of history, and we'll take a sneak peek straight ahead on Ag Insights. Today we're in Southampton County and we're visiting the Museum of Agriculture and Forestry, and I'm joined by one of the museum's director, Bill Vick. Bill, thank you so much for having us out today.
And we also have what we call Heritage Village with all the houses and things
It's
around.
not just a one building museum.
No.
You have got
29,
you've got an amazing display here.
Well,
Not just the stuff that's behind us. I mean, you've got so many different buildings and things to see. It's very interesting.
well, I find it interesting. I have been chairman for about 10 years, and every day I walk in here, I found something today
Right.
that I had not seen before. It was just laying up there.
See?
And
So let's talk a little bit about some of the things you have here, especially pertaining to agriculture. What are some things that people could expect to see when they visit?
well, we have plows, and we have a grist mill where we grind our cornmeal. We have a sawmill that we saw boards. We have a small hummingbird's nest over in one building. We have a pine tree growing through a sycamore tree in one building.
Wow.
We even have a liquor still in here that was donated. It's not in use, but
Sure, sure.
but everything, once it comes in the gate, it's ours, donated.
Right.
And you can see on the shelf over there, I have a lot of items that have been donated that we have not yet cataloged and put into the museum.
I think it's great that people donate and want people to keep remembering history, because I think
That's right.
sometimes we're losing that with our younger generation.
Well, I put my children's playpen in the country building over here, and my typewriters up here, and things that I don't use anymore.
Right.
But we have school groups that come through, and I'd like to have more. And so we give tours, and
Now, I saw you have a display of toy tractors,
yes,
and you also have a display of hand tools.
right.
What are some other things that are in here that would be of interest to agriculture folks?
Well, I showed you the newspapers.
Yes.
We have 2 printing presses that we can make, and they run, and we print with them. And so when we get ready to do the hog killing, we have all of that back in there. We have old tractors. We even have a chicken plucker, which is has rubberized prongs that stick out.
Really?
That I can't imagine using that, but it turns over with a motor and it does
And
that.
gets the feathers out.
And we do a lot of forestry work, agriculture. We try to promote the plows that have been developed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them I had never seen before.
Lots of changes.
Oh, my land.
You know, over 100 years, you've seen a lot of changes in
Well, in my lifetime, in my
No, I'm
lifetime.
not saying you're 100,
No.
but I'm saying
Only 80.
when you think back about around the span of 100 years, how much our equipment has changed,
Right.
and how much easier it is on the human body.
Right.
You know,
right.
and we rely more on, I guess, tractors as opposed to horses.
Because of people having to work on the farm as they did, many people did not make 50 years old.
Right.
So the lifespan has really jumped.
Absolutely.
And so, but farming is just, I never thought that I'd be doing what I'm doing, because I got away from the farm, went into teaching, and then once I retired, it just fell into place.
It
And
was just meant to be, right?
It was meant to be.
Now, how long has this museum been here?
25 years.
25 years, okay. Now, we talked earlier about some of the buildings. Tell us some of the buildings that people could see when they come visit.
All right, we have a one-room schoolhouse, which goes from 1st grade to 8th grade. We have a country home, and we've just added a back porch to that. We have a dentist office. We have a 4-seater outhouse.
A 4-seater.
4-seater.
That's community, isn't it? Wow, okay.
Well, I don't know how that was.
That's only for
worked out.
family?
I hope so. And we have a country kitchen that, the kitchens were not built onto the house. They were about 20, 25 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
And if the kitchen caught on fire, your house did not catch on fire. So
And it was
that
also heat. You know, when
Right.
you would cook in the summer,
Oh, yes.
it would make the house so hot you could hardly stand it. So I remember seeing that in some other places.
And we have an ice house,
Really?
which is interesting. And they use sawdust in the floor and up the walls. And when the river froze over, you collected ice, packed it in there, and that was your ice for the year.
Okay.
Now, I can remember when we stuck a tag on your post on the front of the house, and the iceman would get 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever you had at the top. And he would stop at the house, and he would chip off the block, bring it in, and put it in the house.
Really?
So it's really changed. It's amazing. I don't know what the future is going to be. I can't believe things will change so much, but neither could I believe things that have changed like they have.
Right. Now, there's one house in particular on the property I wanted you to tell me the story behind. It has to do with Nat Turner.
All right. This house is up here, and it was moved here, and it was in real poor condition. And that's under the Historical Society, of which we are a part. And we are fixing that house up, and we hope to have a museum there And we have a walking tour that you can take. He was hung here in Southampton County. The rebellion came about because of what we think was an eclipse. And his mother was a very religious and unusual woman, and she said, now's the time to strike. A lot of slaves were not treated nice. Many slaves were treated well. But it's quite interesting, and it's part of history.
And it's here on the grounds for everyone to see.
It's here, right.
Now, a few minutes ago, you mentioned something about butchering.
Killing hogs.
Do you guys do that here?
No, no.
Okay.
But we have a young man who is a member of our organization that is the official photographer for hog killings. And so he has a display in the back, and he and his wife stand and with an easel, and they explain all of that to people coming through.
Interesting.
One
So
lady
there's a
got
lot
real
of-
upset because she said, can't imagine you treating a hog like that. And someone wrote back and said, how do you think you get the meat out of the counter in the store? So that got real controversy.
Right, absolutely. So there's a lot of education that goes on
Oh,
here
yes.
for
Oh,
everything.
yes.
And I wanted to talk a little bit. You guys have a field day every year, and
Yeah.
that's some pretty big doings. Tell us a little
Well,
bit
we
about
actually
that.
have two.
You have
We
two?
have Down Home Day in April,
Okay.
which is a small scale of Heritage Day, which is in September.
Heritage, okay.
And we have crafters to come in. We run our sawmill. We grind 900 pounds of cornmeal, which is for sale. And we have country music. This year we'll have a big tractor display, I understand. We have some antique cars. We have a petting zoo. We'll have some horseback riding for the kids. So it's a big day.
Wow.
It's big.
It sounds like a big day.
It is fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Starts at 9:30 on September 10th and ends at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's a busy day.
Oh, it is.
There's a lot going on in that
It
day.
is. It is. And we
Well-
cook barbecue, and we cook Brunswick stew, and we have a delicious thing. One lady makes Apple Jacks to sell, and she sells out pretty
Wow.
quickly.
Is that distillery running during
No,
that day?
no.
Oh, I was just checking. If people want more information about the museum, is there a website they could visit?
It's under Southampton County, and they can call my number, which I don't know whether I can give out or not, but it's 757-375-2523. And although we're open on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sunday afternoons, I'm available if I'm home
That's
for
wonderful.
anyone passing through.
That's wonderful. That shows your commitment.
And we have people last weekend from Florida, and we had people in South Carolina and Seattle, Washington that passed by last week. It's wonderful.
Nice. How nice.
It's fun.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for having us out, and thank you for the job you're doing and sharing our agricultural history with folks. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
I enjoy it.
So, we'll be right back. If you love blueberries, maybe you'd like to try to grow your own. Chris Mullins has tips on growing blueberries from the ground up.
Well, hi, today we're going to be talking about blueberries. We're here at Virginia State University. We're here with Dr. Reza Rafi. He's a berry specialist. Reza, are blueberries a good crop for home growers?
I think so. Given that they are managed properly, I think it could be a really fascinating and interesting crop for homeowners.
I agree. What's one of the first things they should do if they're interested in maybe putting some blueberry plants out in their yard?
I think first thing to do is to research. Research the soil type that you have and also the varieties, the type of variety that you want to plant. Those are extremely important in being able to grow quality plants for blueberries.
Now, you mentioned soil. If you get a soil test done, it'll tell you different things like the nutrient levels and the pH. Is all that important for blueberries?
Extremely important because blueberry is one of those crops that actually prefers low pH. The pH as low as 5 or below 5 is preferred. And we all know that unfortunately in Virginia we don't have that many areas that they have that pH.
What's one of the best ways to do that, to lower the pH?
Well, the best way to do that is you can, 6 months before you start planting your blueberry, you can buy sulfur.
Okay.
Powder sulfur.
Right.
And for every 100 square feet, you can add 1 pound of that.
Of sulfur.
That if you have sandy soil, that would be able to bring down 1 unit your pH. So if you have 1 pound in 100 square feet, we'd be able to bring it down to 5.
Okay.
The other thing that we usually do with our research facility is we use a lot of pine bark to be able to maintain that low pH for the blueberries.
Okay. So you mentioned they're shallow rooted, so probably in terms of fertilization and watering throughout the growing season, they don't need a lot, I guess.
They do actually, on weekly basis, you probably need 2 inches of water.
2 inches of water a week, okay.
On weekly basis to be able to grow blueberries, and that's adequate.
Okay, I see. Reza, what are a couple of the tips that would really help homeowners have good blueberries year after year?
I think the most important thing is for a young blueberry, a 1-year-old blueberry, when you plant them that first year, they bloom so much that they actually would not allow the plant to develop. So what you need to do that first year, you really need to get rid of all the blooms. That sets up the root system and the plant for a better future. I think the future to the development of the growth and so on. So it's really important to remove all the blooms in the first year. And then the other thing is pruning. Pruning is extremely important. What you need to do from the 3rd year, you need to go in there and remove all the dead wood area. Because the blueberry, after the 2nd or 3rd year, the wood is not very productive. So you want to go in there and remove some of the wood, dead branches, and then you have lots of twigs in there that you want to go ahead and remove that. And pruning blueberry is extremely important in blueberry production.
So production-wise, if people can really do the research, look at the varieties they want, get that pH right in their soil, think about how many they want to plant, and how they want to plant it, maybe on raised beds.
Right. Also, what's really important is, Chris, is to be able to use, there are 3 different types of blueberries. There's rabbit eye, northern highbush, and southern highbush.
Okay.
What you get at your local supermarket is usually highbush, a northern highbush type. But there are southern highbush, which is a cross between rabbit eye and northern highbush. They are tasty and very good quality. But the rabbit eye, they are easier to grow rabbit eye type blueberries, which within that rabbit eye type there are many varieties that one could grow, but also easier to grow. They are not as sensitive to low pH as northern highbush. So that is, if you want to, you don't have the perfect condition to grow blueberry, you seriously want to consider rabbit eye type blueberries.
Well, that sounds great. I think these few tips here could help homeowners as they're thinking about planting, or if they already have some blueberries at their house. And for more information about blueberries or their production, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins, and we'll see you next time.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, the State Fair of Virginia starts next week, September 23rd through October 2nd at the Meadow Event Park in Doswell. There will be plenty of competitions, animals, and agriculture on display, plus many hands-on activities for kids. You can find more information at statefairva.org. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member, and there's a local Farm Bureau in every county. More information is at vafarmbureau.org.
Virginia soybean farmers are hard at work growing soybeans to produce products you use every day. Candles, soaps, even crayons can be made from soybeans. Remember, when you buy soy, you're helping to support American jobs, the economy, and our nation's energy security.